I am making my roasted carrots with carrot top pesto.
Oh,
and I love this technique because it's root to stem or nose to tail cooking, and it cuts down on the waste.
Nice.
Which we love. The thing about carrot tops is they can vary from carrot to carrot, so you gotta kind of give them a little taste. I just cut them off, keep this carrot separate, and then I just pick the tops. I don't really want too much of that stem. Sometimes they can be a little bit bitter. So if you're making this pesto, you just have to taste and kind of adjust. Maybe a little extra honey or a little pepper if you need it, right? So we just stem those tops, and we'll deal with those in a second. For the carrots themselves, I leave a little bit of that on, especially in summer and spring when the carrots are tender. A little bit of olive oil to start, right? And that way, everything else that you put on there will stick, right? I've got between 12 and 14 carrots here, and I'm gonna load it with 2 teaspoons of just sweet curry powder.
Whoa.
Ooh, oh, I love this recipe already. Everything about it, I'm loving.
Yeah, I mean, the minute you put the curry powder on the carrots, they just turn into something else, right?
And it doesn't look like you peeled them either.
No. Pepper, right on there, right?
Kindred spirits, Alex.
Yes.
These are one thing put outside in the grill when it's nice hot flame, just like this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
See, it's so funny. I only think oven, but I would think they'd be really cool.
Burn them,
Just
you
low
burn
heat, you burn them.
You burn them. And you let them cook on the slow after, but you got to burn them first. They're so great.
So I'm gonna roast these in the oven at 375 for 15 to 20 minutes until they're cooked through. And in the last like 2 minutes of cooking, we're gonna put a little brown sugar and pop them back in the oven so the brown sugar doesn't burn.
Alex, great idea putting that brown sugar on there. It's gonna get all sweet and caramelized.
So here are some that are cooled.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you can smell it,
I
right?
want one now.
That. And then a little pesto with that. Even though a food processor chops everything up, I find the best use of it is to get everything a little bit ready before you even start chopping. So this is a cup of basil leaves, which I'm gonna add in. And you really need the basil to kind of balance the bitterness of the carrot tops. This is about almost a cup of carrot tops, 3/4 of a cup, just layered in there. Always a pinch of salt, preferably coarse salt, to help get everything going. 1/2 cup of walnuts. So underrated, walnuts. 3 tablespoons of olive oil and a tablespoon of honey.
So, Alex, what do you think the carrot top taste is like with the basil and everything? How's that work?
To me, it's super grassy, the carrot tops. And it's almost like the carrots miss their tops. By the way, big on the pulsing. And it may look a little bit herby, maybe a little dry. Don't be afraid to add a little bit of water.
Oh.
A couple tablespoons. Really, really underrated and cheap ingredient, water.
I'm really into this water in the pesto. I didn't know about that.
So underrated. Touch more olive oil just to bring
Because
it up.
pesto can be so heavy. There's so much oil in it. That's a great,
Yeah.
great
You know,
tip.
if you don't have walnuts, I'm getting into using breadcrumbs instead of nuts.
Really?
Really, I love the mouthfeel of it. It's really interesting.
You mean that kind of sandiness, like like a toasted panko or what?
It's different. It's really different.
Great.
All right, so what do you guys like to pesto?
I love a pistachio pesto with pasta. It's off the charts delicious.
I'm like an arugula with sun-dried tomatoes, but like a real hearty arugula. It's peppery.
Big one.
Balance it out with the little sun-dried tomatoes for sweetness.
Papa Bear
and then make it
arugula.
hot.
The big arugula.
Yeah, like a little Calabrian chili in there.
Oh, wow.
I know that this may come as a shock to you, but I love kale pesto.
Oh,
No,
come on,
I can't What about you, Sunny?
Listen, my favorite pesto is collard green pesto. One year I was growing collards in my garden and I had so many, I just said, let me pesto them. Delicious. But instead of pine nuts, I use pecans, which made sense to me because collard greens always remind me of North Carolina. And pecans are big there.
Oh.
Oh, I love that.
Wow.
I just season this up a little bit. I leave the pesto like this. When I am just about to serve it, or, you know, right before, then I add the acid. A little bit of apple cider vinegar, might throw a little on the carrots. Not before. Keep it vibrant green, and when you're ready to serve, just give it a dash of vinegar.
Because the acid will make it less green, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Less verdant.
Kills the color. I also just feel like when the acid is added fresh and it doesn't have time to sit, in this case, it just tastes better.
It's like a squeeze of lemon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you could really add lemon here, but I kind of like, I like a little apple cider or
Here's the dolloper.
classic distilled white vinegar would be really good. Something really punchy. It's not, it's not a delicate moment for rice wine right now. And I like to mix them a little bit just to drag any last bit. And then you literally can just lay them.
This is a beautiful dish.
So pretty.
Little tic-tac-toe, little 1972 vibes in there.
Yeah, I like that.
A little bit more on top just to let people know that there is no yogurt or cumin on this dish.
No fresh mint.
Well, Katie has the mint so perfect with the eggplant, I thought. And you use those carrot tops. You feel guilty when you bring your carrots home and you just cut and throw away. And in fact, a lot of farmers, they have just a big bag of tops. You can just ask them for the tops.
A lot of them give them to the animals, and it's a really good, makes good compost also.
Is your hamster?
My hamster, I was going to
Bopper?
say that. I want to bring him up again, but Bopper just eats those stems like
Bopper?
crazy. The stems that you didn't throw away, by the way.
Well, Bopper's gonna have to wait in line because Mama's hungry. I'm doing the Jeezy gather up.
You got to do that. I'm telling you, it's the way to live life.
Jeffrey makes, if you don't know this about him, he's a big maker of the perfect bite, which I love. And that's when you know food is really an act of love, right?
Can't wait to taste this.
You need the walnuts and the honey to bring that grassy carrot taste out in the tops. And it just makes sense together. I mean, it's not like anybody would ever say, why did you put this together? You put it together, you use the whole ingredient. And in this time of year, such a great move. Carrots, tender, sweet enough with the brown sugar. So good.
I love a beautiful salad in the springtime, and I'm going to make a spring grain salad, starting with the grains. So I'm taking a couple of shortcuts in this recipe. These are 2 microwavable pouches of grains, and this is really a great mixture of farro and quinoa and barley and millet and all those good things. And it's so nice because you don't have to buy different bags of grains and cook them all. So then I've got some beautiful peas. They're just frozen peas that I thawed, so they're still nice and cold. And then goat cheese. You could also do feta, whatever is your favorite or whatever you happen to have in the fridge. I love goat cheese. Oh, radishes. Perfect spring salad ingredient. I love growing radishes. Somehow when I grow radishes, they're a lot spicier. And then some halved cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, different colors. Things like this are just glorious, and I could eat just this for dinner. The other people in my life would wonder where the steak is that goes with it. And then just some chopped herbs. And then my second shortcut is bottled dressing, and this is a lemon garlic dressing. Oh, just perfect. Oh my goodness. You can totally make your own dressing, but this is such a great shortcut, and you don't have to drag out all the different elements of the dressing, which is nice. And then just toss to your heart's content. And you could sort of mix it ahead of time like this and then refrigerate it and let the flavors start to meld, but we don't have time for such things. This is how I like to serve it. I have a big, beautiful bowl of arugula, and I'm just gonna try to get it into a pile in the center of the arugula. Toasted pine nuts, and you can also sprinkle on some extra, goat cheese or whatever you have, but to me, get the tongs, get the servers. To me, this is what spring is all about. And how easy was that? Such a triumph.
Garlic confit mashed potatoes. So to confit something means to cook it in fat. And so what I'm doing is cooking garlic cloves in olive oil. So I'm gonna infuse that olive oil with this garlic. Okay, I have about a ½ cup of peeled garlic cloves. I'm gonna turn the heat up to about medium high. So I'm gonna cook this for about 10 to 15 minutes until the garlic starts to soften up and that oil is infused with all of that garlic flavor. So I have boiled potatoes until they're fork tender. Now I'm gonna strain them and mash them. So this is about 3 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes that I've peeled and diced into equal pieces. I always get asked this question. How do you make the best mashed potatoes? Is it a blender? Is it by your hand? Is it a food processor? It's none of those ways. It's a ricer. Let me show you. I'm just gonna add the potatoes to the ricer. Then I'm gonna take this top handle and press it down. Now look at this. So the ricer creates more air, which results in a fluffier mashed potato. That's the last bit of potatoes. I need to strain the garlic from the oil and add it to the food processor with 1 stick of unsalted butter. All right, so I am going to blitz this together until all of the garlic cloves break down. All right, I am going to add this butter and garlic directly to my mashed potatoes. Okay? And I have a little heavy cream here. You don't want to cool down the potatoes with cold, heavy cream, so it's good to warm it up on the stove first. Potatoes they crave salt, okay? And I'm just folding in that butter with the confit garlic and that heavy cream. I'm gonna give it a taste. Make sure I don't need to add any more salt. Woo! Hey, hey, hey. I got garlic bread for days. Just gonna add my mashed potatoes to the bowl. We are probably not gonna eat all of this, but that's the great thing about mashed potatoes. They keep in the fridge. I'm gonna use a spoon to kind of create like these divots. Remember that infused garlic oil? Take some of that oil and just drizzle it on top. All right, so I have some chives here and some bacon that I cooked. And my side is done. Ooh, they're gonna love this.
Potatoes good. This is delicious.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Mushroom and asparagus oven risotto. I just pulled the asparagus out of the pan and I sauteed it in a little olive oil and butter. So I will set that to the side. I'm gonna add a little bit more butter and olive oil to the pan. These are just sliced cremini mushrooms, and I want to cook the mushrooms until they're nice and brown so I can start adding the other ingredients to the pan. Lots of garlic, some fresh thyme leaves, absolutely delicious. Sliced green onions, I've got both light green and dark green parts. And for extra flavor, chives, which to me is such a springy thing. Now I'll stir all of the herbs in with the mushrooms and get everything mixed together. This is a good time to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. All right, so now it's time for the risotto side of things. I have some arborio rice, which is the standard risotto rice, and I'm pouring it in over the mushrooms. And I want to stir and just get the rice coated in all of this flavor. Cooking the risotto in the oven without all the stirring is really a great alternative when you don't want to spend all that time babysitting at the stove. So that's where the broth comes in. I've got it heated in a saucepan and I'm gonna pour the whole darn thing in. Now, risotto purists will probably bristle at this because truly it is delicious to make risotto the traditional way, but this is really good. So that is all stirred. And I'm gonna turn the heat off, put the lid on, and I'm gonna put this in a 400-degree oven. It's gonna take about 40 minutes for the risotto to be perfect, and then I'll finish things up. Here we go. It is so worth it not to stir while it's in the oven, even though I always want to peek and see how things are coming along. You want to keep it just as it is. And then you get this moment where you can go in with a spoon and look at that texture. So I'm going to dress up the risotto even more. Got goat cheese, that's going to make it extra creamy. And we can't forget this beautiful asparagus. I'm gonna leave some back to garnish it with, but I'm gonna stir most of it into the risotto. So now I'm gonna decorate the top because I can't stop. I've got arugula and some thinly sliced red onion and more goat cheese, please. And the rest of the asparagus, and I'm just gonna kind of wiggle it onto the top of this. All right, with that, the risotto mission is complete.
Every dinner needs some kind of a green vegetable, even a celebration dinner. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna roast some broccoli, and then I'm gonna dress it up for a party with Panko Gremolata. I'll show you how I cook the broccoli. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting through the stems and then pulling the florets apart. And that way you have nice, really clean florets. So that's 2 large bunches of broccoli. And the key here is I'm putting them on 2 sheet pans. If I put them on 1 sheet pan, they're all gonna steam. If I put them on 2 sheet pans, they're gonna roast, and it makes all the difference in the world. They'll get nice and brown and crisp and delicious. And this is my classic method of roasting. Olive oil, salt and pepper. Okay, about 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Just drizzle it on. Lots of salt and pepper. Salt. And pepper. Clean hands. Toss it all together. And then spread them out so that they're in one layer. And that way they're gonna roast and they're gonna be delicious. Really brings out the sugars in the vegetable. Toss it together. Spread it out. Okay, into the oven, 400 degrees for just 15 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm gonna make the Panko Gremolata. So I've got a little bit of oil that I've heated up, 2 teaspoons of garlic. Gremolata is classically garlic, lemon, and parsley, but I'm gonna do it with garlic, lemon, and pine nuts. I need to cook it for about 30 seconds, just until you smell the fragrant garlic. Don't wanna overcook it. And the other change I'm making is I'm doing it with panko, which is Japanese bread flakes. Makes it crisp. Half a cup of panko. Just to add it in. I'm just gonna toss them together and just saute it for about 3 minutes, just until it's lightly browned. Okay, I think the panko is perfectly brown now. Just want kind of a light toasted color, just like that. Okay, now off the heat, I'm gonna add some lemon zest, 2 teaspoons. That's the lemon part of the gremolata. Just gonna zest it right into this. I love this dish because the broccoli is really tender and sort of the edges are a little crispy, and the Panko Gremolata adds a nice crunch at the top with lots of flavor. Okay, that's the lemon zest. It smells so good. The next thing is 2 tablespoons of toasted pine nuts. All you have to do is put them in a dry pan and toast them a little bit until they're browned. And that's Panko Gremolata. All ready for the broccoli. The broccoli's roasted perfectly crisp tender. So I'm gonna put this on a platter, and then I'm gonna do the gremolata on top of it. It doesn't have to be particularly neat. I kind of like a nice pile of vegetables. Isn't this great? I love that the tops of the broccoli are kind of browned. Just looks delicious. Okay, let me get it all on this platter if I can. Fantastic. I think a green vegetable on a buffet really makes everything else look delicious. And now, while the broccoli's still warm, I'm gonna squeeze some lemon juice on it. I always think it's that edge that really brings out the flavor in things. Vinegar, lemon, something like that. This is gonna be delicious. Yeah. And when the broccoli's still warm, it really absorbs the flavor. Okay, and last, the gremolata. With garlic and the panko, pine nuts, lemon zest. I mean, I would say this is a side dish fit for a celebration. Okay, a little bit of salt, For a green vegetable, that looks pretty special, doesn't it?
I am making scalloped potatoes. They're gonna be cheesy and creamy. To start, I'm thinly slicing 2 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes. And I'm slicing about 1/8 to 1/4 inch slices. All my potatoes are sliced. I'll set these aside and then make my creamy, cheesy sauce. I've got my skillet heated here. I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of butter, and I'm gonna let this melt. I'll add 3 tablespoons of flour, and that's gonna combine with the butter to create a roux, and that's gonna thicken the milk to create that rich sauce. I'll whisk the flour into the butter and let it cook for about a minute so that the flour flavor can dissipate. Now I've got 1.5 cups of whole milk here, and I'm gonna add it really gradually, whisking continuously to allow it to combine and thicken. And I wanna whisk it constantly to ensure the smoothest, velvetiest texture. That's looking good. So I know this is thick enough when it coats the back of a spoon. Oh yeah, look how beautiful that is. Just like that. I'm gonna season it with salt and pepper. And then I'm gonna get some nutmeg. Just a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg adds a perfect hit of warmth. I'm gonna grate in about 1/4 teaspoon. I've got Gruyere and ham. Gruyere cheese is funky and fancy. I'm gonna add a couple ounces of this to the sauce and let it melt. It smells so good. And potatoes are so mild, they're like a canvas for the cheese. So they need some strong flavors encasing them. I'm ready to assemble. I've got my cast iron skillet, and I've coated on the inside with some butter, and I'm gonna add a layer of potatoes. And I'm not gonna get too fancy or fussy with this. It's just gonna be a rustic layer. These are gonna melt together when they bake and soak up this cheese sauce. And then I'm gonna season them with a good pinch of salt. I'll top with half of my cream sauce. It's just gonna soak right in those layers. Let me spread it around to make sure all the potatoes are coated. And next, all of the ham. Sometimes I think that because there's ham in this, it can be a full meal, just this. But then my conscience kicks in. Some chives for flavor and color. And then the rest of my potatoes, and I'm just spreading them all the way to the edge. This is a great dish to make in advance and bring to a party. It's a crowd pleaser. Everybody always loves the scalloped potatoes, as long as they're salty enough. I finish with the rest of my cream sauce, a sprinkling of that funky Gruyere, and some more chopped chives. Oh, it's so pretty. I could just eat this whole pan. Beautiful. I'll cover this. And now this is gonna bake at 350 degrees for about an hour, and I'm gonna take the foil off for the last 20 minutes so that I can get golden brown and crispy on top. I am ready for this. Oh yeah, that is a beautiful potato situation. Look at how golden it is, and it's so melty. I'm gonna taste it. Oh, it's so creamy. It is so flavorful and comforting.
I'm gonna make my steamed whole artichokes with a spicy lemon caper mayonnaise.
Ooh,
Oh,
Yeah,
shut
all
the
day.
front door.
So I like to use this kind of old school steamer basket.
Love it.
As a kid, I was
Remember?
Yeah,
Play
fascinating.
with
What do
it.
we do with this? So literally just enough. I just want to fit 4 artichokes, put them snugly in a single layer. I've got a few inches of water in the bottom of the pot. And then to prepare them, it is super complicated. I really want you guys to pay attention. Just cut that stem off so that after you cook it, it can sit flat on the plate and you are gonna look really cool. So I like them to sit flat and then literally just arrange them stem down in a single layer on top of this little basket we put in here. Chooks in there. The water's cold in the bottom, so we don't get any steam burns. It's even less complicated. Okay, so we put the top on and just get that heat going. I'm gonna steam these for 30 to 35 minutes. I just do the simplest test. I have some here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. It just does it itself. And this is a way to start with artichokes so you're not intimidated. How do we test for doneness? Quite simply, and Jeffrey and I were talking about this, just try
Pull a leaf.
to pull a leaf out.
But it should just come out easy, right?
Yeah. Now, they do go from that vibrant spring green to more of an army green. It is true. But I just think they still look
They're beautiful.
like
So
spring
unique.
flowers. I feel like, Sonny, you're gonna love this.
I also love artichokes from the can. I could just eat the whole can of artichoke hearts. It's delicious. It's briny, it's tangy. And then also you can make like a really quick spinach artichoke dip out of the can. I like the can.
Love that, Sonny. So for me, classic, 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise as the base, 2 tablespoons, it's a lot, it's caper forward, of just chopped capers. Not really any of the brine though, honestly, in this case, though I love it. 2 tablespoons of mustard, we're going for that French bistro vibe. 2 tablespoons of red wine vinegar, right? 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons of hot sauce. Ooh. Oh yeah. And a pinch of red pepper flakes, just a pinch, because I also love the texture when you get a little flake, and some olive oil, about 3 tablespoons.
I like a little heat in there.
So do
think
I.
That's a good
It's-
idea.
Yeah, the artichoke is kind of, I think, wants that. My favorite ingredient of all to have on hand whenever you're making any kind of sauce is water, because you just don't know. I feel like every time you make something, it can be a little bit different. See if it needs anything. That's good.
Yeah.
Pinch of salt, and again, compensating for the fact that I haven't added any salt yet, I'm gonna put a touch more in here. I don't think I need the water. Whisk this together.
And it's great when if you can get it when it's just warm, like barely warm, it's the best.
Sit
The
there, you
artichoke.
scrape it all day.
And then just some chives. I feel like you need a little of herbaceousness. Just a nice thin cut right on top, so that when we dunk these petals in here, we get a little bit of herb right sort of as the initial flavor. Not too much right off, just on top.
Yum. I see a steamed artichoke on the menu, I'm going for it. And now I'm gonna be making them at home all the time.
Show us how to eat it.
Yeah, so I eat every leaf. What you're really doing is you're going for that kind of meaty bottom, dunk.
Scrape.
That's it.
Yeah, it's really fun to eat. And then you need a little bowl, like when you eat mussels. So you eat all the petals, and when I was a kid, I didn't really like the heart. Oh. Believe it?
Oh, that's the best part.
I know, misspent youth. So just to show, after you've eaten all this, and you're right, it really is a lot to eat, and it's fun, because there's a lot of, it's very tactile. You're literally, you can take your little dinner knife and just pull apart. You can eat all of these leaves. This is a lot of food. And then here you have the heart and what we call the hay, or the choke itself.
It's called choke for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat it.
You want to take that choke bit off the top, and this is hot, which is so great. And then this,
That's the prize.
this is really.
That's the gold. That's
You
like
can
what
see.
you're going for.
It still stays really hot because all of this protects the heart. And then you just
armor.
dunk the heart and eat it. That's the best part. A lot. So here we
That's
are.
a good
So
one.
exciting.
I'm gonna make a nice big salad with radish, avocado, and asparagus. We're gonna dial it up a little bit with the dressing I like to call my walnut dressing. Starting in a little food processor, a little shallot.
We're gonna have some protein and omegas in
Boom.
the salad
Omega
as well.
3s, 4s, and 5s. A little garlic, 1 clove of garlic, lightly smashed, just to give it a head start.
And Katie, fiber alert on the radishes or anything?
Fiber alert.
Fiber alert.
Uh-oh. We're gonna get these, again, heavily. I'm not mixing everything together. We'll put in our liquids in a minute, because I want some texture in this dressing, if you
I'm
will.
really excited about
That's
this
it.
dressing.
That's it. You see that kind of almost
Yes.
like the beginnings of a nut butter without all the oil and everything, for a little sweetness to pair well with those peppery radishes, a little bit of honey.
Don't y'all feel like radishes don't get enough love?
They don't.
Zero.
We're gonna add a little acid, sherry wine vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah, a little salt from the Mediterranean and some pepper from Cleveland. And a little bit of olive oil from Zakarian Farms. It's gonna hit that up a little bit.
I smell those shallots.
Right, just a little bit, like a little bit of shallots, because no 2 shallots are like the same size, right? Once you get going, Lovely, and that's it. Just kind of almost creamy, but still
Almost a
chunky.
pesto.
Almost, yes, exactly, Jeffrey. That's kind of what I was going for.
This dressing.
And now we got our blanched, shocked, and drained. I know Jeffrey has not been a proponent of shocking the vegetables.
No,
but
green vegetables.
Green vegetables like that are super tender like
Yeah,
this
you have
will
to.
overcook. I shock them, drain them well though, so there's no residual water in there. I got our radishes. We're just gonna dump that in here.
Oh.
Just when you cut your radish, I do like, you can eat the greens of these radishes. They're very, very peppery too, delicious in a salad. I like to keep a little of that green top and cut them lengthwise like that so you know you're getting a peak season, beautifully colored, fun little kind of cut of radish with that little guy still on there.
So cute.
Hey, how you doing? All right, so we're gonna finish dressing that. I got an avocado just for some, I don't know, I love avocado in salads. It's
You
always
put
like
your
a little.
avocado in the salad. This is controversial.
Okay.
I always put it in after it's tossed at the end, so it doesn't go mushed up.
That's what I'm not even putting it in the bowl, Jeffrey. I'm gonna put it on top. This guy. Lame stain. Here we go. I always like to cut the little tip off, and I like to peel my avocados. Just gives a little pocket to peel.
I think it's satisfying.
And now we got from my upcycled vertical garden, still ticking over there, tarragons.
Boom. Bold.
And now we got that beautiful dressing that we are going to put all of it in there. You can leave this in your fridge. I like it fresh. I think just vibrant, fresh, and still a little crunchy from those.
You could probably take out any crunchy vegetable you have in your fridge with this dressing, and you'll be happy, right?
Yep. Isn't it fun? And it's like, I don't know, it's a salad, but it's also spoonable in a way, right? You get a little,
I think this would be great with a piece of grilled salmon.
I'm gonna put that in there. Just like
I can't
that, we
wait
got
to
that
try
fresh.
this walnut dressing. I'm just so into it.
And I just wanna get this a nice K2 type peak here. Try to get it high up.
I can smell that from here. The radishes. I smell the shallots too.
Oh, I'm so into this.
Ooh.
I feel like you could add a grain to this salad too. You could do like a quinoa or a farro with it.
Just a bed of that underneath. Lentils.
You don't muck up the avocado in the salad.
Never,
Especially when
jamais.
there's
That's a big
heartier things
mistake.
in there. Always get it on top.
I didn't realize you two were so serious about the
I'm gonna have
salad.
to applaud this salad.
I love it.
You're breaking my chops about, are you making a radish sandwich? No, I made the accompaniment to a great radish sandwich, which is a great radish salad. But look how pretty that is.
I feel like this is a vegetarian salad, and that fanned avocado kind of mimics a chicken breast.
There you
So
go.
it's like a vegetarian meaty.
Jeff, you took like all the avocado on yours.
Yeah. I know, right? Super radish forward, right? There's not a lot competing in this salad with the radish. You're getting that peppery, tingle of the nose heat, creamed out by that avocado and that walnut dressing. I swear, you make this, how easy was that? You are gonna put it on everything this spring.
This is my sugar snap pea and radish salad. Let's get started. I've already brought a pot of water up to a boil, seasoned it with some salt. That's really important because that's gonna help flavor our sugar snap peas. And I've got a big bowl of ice water here so that we can do a little blanch on those. That's gonna keep them nice and green. So you just start by taking a paring knife and trimming these sugar snap peas. You just wanna take the ends off. Some of them have more of a string in there in the back, but not all of them do, and they're really tender, so you don't have to worry about stringing them like you would green beans. So you just take those ends off and into the bowl. Sugar snap peas are one of my favorite things about spring vegetables because you can just eat them raw, have them in the fridge, and these are so good on a crudité platter as well. So it just adds a nice little refreshing touch. I really like these stir-fried also. Just tastes like spring to me. Okay, I've got just one more left here. There we go, let's clean up. I always clean as I go. It makes it quicker at the end. Now these are gonna go into our boiling water. Again, we salted it so that they are nice and seasoned. And they just need about 1 to 2 minutes. We're not looking to cook them here. We're just looking to take a little bit of the crispness out and just really lock in that bright green color to them. I'm just gonna take my spider here and kind of toss them around. They're looking good. And you can do this if you're making a broccoli salad. That's a great thing to do, is to blanch it first. And these look great. All right, so this is a really good tool to have on hand. It's called a spider. You can also use a slotted spoon if you don't have one of these. Into the ice water bath. Just gets all of them out really quickly. If you like to deep fry, a spider comes in handy then as well. Look how bright green that water is. And you can cook some little macaroni in there too. And get a little green hue on it. Okay, so just shock those in the water. That's gonna stop the cooking process. And onto a paper towel lined tray. And the paper towel is just gonna help absorb the extra water that's in there, because if they're too wet, they're not gonna hold the dressing. And you want that vinaigrette to really stick to these. I'm gonna pick them out of my ice. There we go. Here we go, we got a few more. Let's steal one. So crunchy and good. Let those dry. While they're drying, let's work on our radishes, okay? So I'm just using these little red radishes. You can use different shapes, different colors of radishes. They're a great spring vegetable. I love the pepperiness of these. And these little round ones, they're a little less peppery than some of the other varieties, but they still have that good bite to them. So we're just gonna trim these up. And I'll actually use my big knife for this. And then I like to do part of these in quarters and part of them sliced because I like the variety of texture to them. So years and years ago, this was like back in 2008, my first cookbook had just come out and I got to go on the Oprah show. And I was losing my mind to get to be with Oprah. And she was putting up pictures from the cookbook on the big screen, and she had this recipe up there, and she loved it. So now whenever I make this recipe, I think about Oprah saying that. All right, I'm gonna slice these up, just little thin slice. You can even leave some of these whole if you wanted. You could use some French breakfast radishes to give it a little something different. We've used on the kitchen purple ninja radishes, there's black radishes. There are really so many different varieties. Watermelon radishes would be beautiful in this as well. And they all have a slightly different flavor to them. So you can really play around with it and always have a different taste and texture. I really like to dip radishes actually just in salt. Butter and salt, that's a great way to eat a radish. I'll do that for a cocktail party. I'll just put out radishes. I leave the little green ends on them so they look nice and pretty, with a little bowl of softened butter and a bowl of salt. So pretty, I just love them. I'm gonna slice this last one. It's great. Okay, let me get rid of some of my radish tops. And now let's move on to our chives. So I also think of chives during the spring. They're a nice lighter flavor than an onion, but you still get that nice oniony flavor. And we're just gonna mince these up. They're beautiful, and you really find these a lot in the spring. This would be a great salad next to a piece of grilled fish or grilled chicken, or on a buffet of all vegetable dishes. Once the veggies start coming in, I like a whole vegetable buffet. I am real happy with that. Okay, I'm just gonna put my chives right into my mixing bowl because they're all going in together. And my radishes are gonna go in here as well. And my sugar snap peas. So take these, let's just do this. This will be easier. Get all of those in there. I've still got a couple ice cubes in here I'm gonna pick around. See how bright green they stayed from our blanching? The blanching's one of those steps that if you're in a hurry and you leave it out, it's okay, of course, but you can tell. It really does make a difference. Okay, let's make our dressing now. This is a really simple vinaigrette that you could use really on any salad. So what I like to do when I'm making a salad dressing is go 3 parts oil, 1 part acid. So for today's acid, we're using apple cider vinegar, but you could use lemon juice, white wine vinegar, red wine vinegar, whatever you have. So 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And I always have on hand a really good extra virgin olive oil and then an okay olive oil. I do my cooking in that okay olive oil because it doesn't need the flavor as much, but when you're serving it on a salad or on a drizzle, that's the time that you bring out the better stuff. And it doesn't have to be, you know, really good doesn't mean expensive. It just means one that you really like the taste of. And now I'm gonna put a tablespoon of that apple cider vinegar. And let's do a teaspoon of honey because those radishes, they love sweetness. I always put a little bit of honey into a salad dressing or a pinch of sugar. That was something my grandma always did. She used just regular white vinegar and she put a pinch of sugar in there. And I think she just used plain vegetable oil and her salad dressing was the best. Okay, we're gonna go for some salt. Put a good amount of salt in there, half a teaspoon to a teaspoon, because it's the only thing that's gonna be seasoning up these vegetables. And some pepper. And then I like making it in a jar because all I have to do to get it emulsified is give it a shake. If you want, you could add a little mustard to this. Some Dijon or some stone ground mustard could be good. It'll just make it a little bit spicier. And on to our salad. Now let's toss it together. Oh, this looks so good. I love the smell of vinegar. I'm one of those people that likes a lot of vinegar. So if I'm making a salad dressing just for me, sometimes I double up on the vinegar. But when I'm serving it to other people, I know not everybody's like me. Okay, this looks great. Now, if you were having a spring celebration, this would be so pretty on your table. Or just for a random Tuesday for lunch. Why not, right? Treat yourself. Here we go. Onto a plate. Oh, I'm so excited to eat this. I get a little bit of everything on here. It's so crisp and refreshing. And those radishes have a nice little hit of pepper to them. The sugar snap peas are so sweet, and you've got the onion of the chive. Delicious. I hope you make my easy sugar snap pea and radish salad for your spring feast.
The guys are having a big morning of working cattle over on Tim's ranch today, and I'm making them a rib-stickin' ranch-style lunch. They are gonna be hungry when they're finished. To go with the ribs, I'm making twice-baked potato casserole. It's pretty much everything that's wonderful about twice-baked potatoes, but in casserole form. Now, of course, twice-baked potatoes in any form have to have bacon, so I fried up a bunch, and I just need to chop it up. You know, you can use store-bought bacon bits for twice-baked potatoes, but I think nothing is like bacon you fry yourself, particularly when you're cooking for cowboys. They detect things like this. They might run me out of town if they find out I used artificial bacon pieces. Okay, I got the bacon all chopped. I'll let that sit for a sec. Now I've got to add a lot of butter to this casserole because I baked a lot of potatoes. So I've got 4 sticks of softened butter. I want it to be really, really soft. Then when the warm potato mixture goes in, it melts really quickly. Okay, and 4. And a whole container of sour cream. Everyone likes sour cream with potatoes, let's face it. Okay, now for the potatoes. I've got 16 big baking potatoes, and I rubbed them in a little bit of vegetable oil and then baked them at 400 for about an hour. They're nice and tender, very hot. So I'll just cut it in half. Ooh, nice and hot. And I'll use a little towel so it won't be too hot in my hands. And I like to use just a big tablespoon to slowly scrape the insides out. Okay, that's the last potato scooped, and I've got nice little flecks of potato skin all throughout. So now I'll season all of this. It's a lot of potato, so it needs a good amount of salt, and of course, plenty of black pepper. And then I also like to add some seasoned salt. It just adds a few different flavors, a little bit of extra saltiness. All right, that looks great. Now I'll throw in all of this delicious bacon. Okay, now the green onions go in. I also grated a lot of cheese, a couple of cups of cheddar jack, and I'll sprinkle that over the top. And then I definitely need some milk in here so that everything will mix together well. So I'll just pour in a couple of cups of milk. All right, now I just need to break out my muscles. I've got a potato masher and I'll just go right in and smush all this together. This takes a little while. There are a lot of ingredients in here. The potatoes don't have to be completely smooth, but I don't want there to be any huge chunks. Okay, looks perfect. Get the extra off. Now I'm gonna put all of this into a big foil container. I think it'll all fit. Whenever I'm making twice-baked potatoes for a crowd, it can get a little much to refill the skins after the mixture is done. This is the perfect solution. Just put it into a big pan, warm it up, and it's ready to serve. This looks amazing. There is not a cowboy on the ranch or a kid on the ranch that won't go crazy for this. Okay, now I'll just smooth out the surface. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is a great dish to make if you're having a big party because you can actually make it the day ahead and pop it in the oven when you're ready. I wasn't that organized. I did it the same day. Okay, now I'm gonna sprinkle more cheese over the top. The potato mixture has plenty inside, but I like for the top to have a nice layer of melted cheese. This is cheddar jack, but you can use all cheddar, all jack, or you could do pepper jack. That's always delicious too. Okay, now this just needs to go back into the oven for about 30 minutes until it's warmed through. Cheesy, twice-baked potato casserole. Here are the ribs. Did you guys work up an appetite?
I think everybody did.
Todd, you want some potatoes? What's up? And get the good stuff.